Hey y'all, Jamie here. Proud 55-year-old trans woman from New Orleans. So, where last I left off, well, I had confessed to my mother that I had had a boyfriend that I was intimate with when I was 10. Yeah, 10 years old. And I was 12 at this time, and she was beating the fuck out of me. And I finally had my belly full when she said that if there was a way for her to take every drop of her blood out of my body right that second, she would do it. I threw her off of me after that, and I said, "You're not going to fucking hit me anymore, right?" So I would love to say that that wrapped that up and that she learned to respect boundaries and, all of that good shit. No, no. But I will say that over the course of several months, my mother did manage to get my sisters back. You know, she got my sisters back. We went to Louisiana to get them from their foster home where they had been for like almost 5 years, like 5 years almost. Yeah, they were really attached to these people at this point. And they weren't happy. They weren't thrilled to be coming back to us. And I can't say that I really blame them. 5 years with another family, life had moved on, right? And so my mother brought them back, and my mother was woefully unprepared for what to do with children. Like three kids, she didn't even have a. We had an apartment. Okay, she had moved us right before we got them back. She had moved us to just outside of Dallas because my mother was working for a chain of carpet stores and she was the manager for the 6 carpet stores in the state. Three of them were in the Dallas area, three of them were in the Houston area. She had been promoted to being the manager over all 6 of these stores, right? So she had rented us a little duplex in Dallas and she had filled it with Rent-A-Center furniture. Okay, Rent-A-Center. And yeah. So she gets me and my sisters. We go back to Houston first, to Harry's apartment. The same old apartment where his friend George used to live. That apartment stayed in the family, so to speak, for years. Anyway, we went to that apartment first for a few weeks. For a few weeks, we got into a little trouble. I accidentally broke my sister Daphne's foot, dropped a fucking a wrought iron, like a wrought iron lounger on her foot by the pool. I got in a lot of trouble for that too. Yeah, the beatings didn't stop after that little incident when I threw my mother off me. The beatings did not stop. And when my sisters came back, guess what? They had Harry and my mother to introduce them to the beatings too. And my sisters, look, they had been whipped at the family that they were with, and of course they had gone through the same abuse. I had gone through it early, but they didn't know my mother anymore. To be honest with you, they really didn't know my mother like that anymore, and they really weren't feeling it. And my sister Deanne was like 8, going on 9 at this point, like 8 or 9 around there. And Daphne was like 10, 11, like 10, 10. She was about 10. And so, anyway, she gets them back, and it doesn't last that long. Like it really did. It lasted a matter of months. We went back to the apartment, to the house. It was a duplex in Dallas. And it was in a little town called Garland, right outside of Dallas. And we went there, and Rent-A-Center came to collect with the sheriffs. Because, of course, my mother owed all kinds of back money on that Rent-A-Center furniture. And she left us there while she was at work. Okay? We had the police knocking on the door for the Rent-A-Center furniture. There was an eviction notice coming up on the door. The lights had been out when we were gone out of town for all that time, and the refrigerator was full of rotten food and maggots. Sorry, trigger warning. But yeah, Harry tried to make me dig my hands into that refrigerator barehanded with no gloves or anything and dig that shit out. And I told him, "You can go ahead and beat me." And I did. I took a beating. Like I took a beating because I was I repeat, not going to stick my hand into fucking maggots. So, you know, that happened. We ended up in a hotel, like because we got evicted from that house. This all happened like bam, 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 that fast. And we ended up in a hotel. We were at the Hilton in Dallas. And, you know, it was kind of fun for me and my sisters. Look, we were like stealing cigarettes from the gift shop. We were riding the, yes, they were smoking. I was smoking. We were bad little kids. Look at the home life we had, okay? So we're in this hotel. We're doing elevator races. Harry busts us with cigarettes and stuff and beats us, of course. And I jumped in and took the beating before my sister Daphne because I did not want to see her take it. And but yeah, they listen. After a few months, We just barely, it was the summer, and then we just barely started school. Seventh grade. We had just barely, for me, seventh grade. We had just barely started school, okay? And my sister Deanne had her belly full, and my mother going off and hitting us. And my sister Deanne was like, "That's not right. She's not supposed to hit us like that." Because she would listen, my mother would grab a high heel, she would grab a stick, she'd break a chair over your back if necessary, but she would get her point across, okay? If she wanted to get her point across to you, you were going to be fully aware of everything she intended for you to get, okay? And so Deanne had her fill. And of course, my mother could, we were sleeping on a pallet on the floor. Like we had been kicked out of the Hilton. She got an apartment, but we were like sleeping on the floor, on blankets on the floor, no furniture at all. And no phone, no nothing like that. We were right by the woods, outside of Dallas. And so my sister Deanne went to the payphone at the pool, and she called the police. And she told the police that my mother had been beating us mercilessly. And the police arrested my mother at work. All kinds of cop cars showed up. They had me and my sisters in the apartment interviewing us, and they arrested my mother at her place of work in broad daylight. And if y'all want to know what happened next in this crazy growing up trans in a MAGA family world, y'all know the routine. Be here tomorrow, and I will too. I love you all. I love you all for watching, and I love you for the comments. Talk to you later. Bye bye.